on with Steffi. Let's dance. Put on your big boy pants.
Oh, come on. With the sunglasses, that's just too cool. Good morning, Malcolm Nance.
Yeah, Mission, South Carolina.
Oh, really? How mysterious. All right,
Yeah.
let's talk about, you were the first one that tweeted about Robert Hansen, former FBI agent and one of the most damaging spies in U.S. history, died in prison. I was saying that creates an opening for another Russian traitor to go to prison. Just not saying, not naming anyone in particular.
Yeah, the slots are just opening up left and right. Well, we had a big debate about Edward Snowden this morning on Twitter, and somebody came up there and said, well, you forced him to do this, and, he's not talking because his life is at risk. And we said, well, that's what happens when you choose to be a traitor. You might walk out of a building. But in Donald Trump's case, where we have sent many people to prison, and I'm going to name just one, Reality Winter.
Yeah.
Reality Winter, right? Mm-hmm. We sent her to prison for 5 years for one document. So I think there are some slots open.
Yeah. Well, and Malcolm, I know we keep saying, we're this is the week, but Andrew Weissman, obviously Mueller prosecutor, I'm sure you've heard, has said he thinks it's this week, just given all the indications, right up until, this meeting where clearly Trump's attorneys met with DOJ. They were told to go pound sand. Trump is freaking out on Twitter or wherever his truth thing is. Yeah. It seems like all the signs are pointing to that we are, if not there, almost there. What do you think?
And Weissman's correct. I don't look for all the legalities that Weissman and Kirshner all look for. I look for what Trump says on Truth Social. Mm-hmm. And the first thing he tweeted the moment that meeting was done, they had gone back and briefed him, was, why would I have to be indicted? I shouldn't be accused of these things. He clearly has been notified that he's probably going to be indicted. Now, the question is when. You know what all the indicators are going to be? They're going to start with security controls around New York City, right? Or where is it, Washington, D.C. or New York City? I can't remember where this one is.
Yeah,
Washington, D.C.
Well,
and they're going to have security controls and be prepared for, people coming up and quite possibly being upset.
Yeah.
And that's going to give us any indication that he is going to be forced to face the music, so to speak, in the classified documents case. Yeah. Which I come to D.C. for.
I mean, it's funny. We get accused of hyperbole all the time, but I mean, this is espionage. This is what he's being investigated for. There are indications he is going to be charged under the Espionage Act as a, well, you look like a spy right now. Former spy. Can you talk about that?
I've said this before. I may have been one of the first people, I want to say in 2016, that Donald Trump will end up being charged with the Espionage Act. And I said it for Donald Trump and Jared Kushner. And the indications that I had at the time were that they wouldn't be dabbling in all of these areas of national security just because they like doing treason, right? Yeah. There was money to be made from it in dealing in intelligence and dealing with information, particularly with the Saudis. Saudis wanting to acquire atomic bombs. Yeah. The Saudis now, suddenly dropping $2 billion into the pocket of Jared Kushner. Like Chris Christie said, these are no financial geniuses. This is a payoff. And when you sell classified information or you transfer documents, you have committed espionage. And you can be charged under the Espionage Act.
We just talked about this because of Live Golf, Malcolm, about all these connections that I just feel like there's so many other shoes to drop, like the $2 billion in Saudi money that you just mentioned to Kushner. Didn't he share intelligence with Saudi Arabia? Am I remembering this correctly, Malcolm? Yes. That led to a lot of MBS, enemies getting killed in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I'm trying to remember exactly.
Yeah, it was in 2017. The Saudis decided that they were going to extort all of the richest men in Saudi Arabia. And apparently Jared Kushner went there with raw intelligence from the Treasury or some other collection entity that showed these people's assets. The Saudis arrested hundreds of people, put them away in hotels, even though they were fine five-star hotels. They were in jail. Two of them, I believe, died while they were there in captivity, and they were to cough up over $1 billion. So this information, and it was Prince Mohammed bin Salman himself, or not Mohammed bin Salman, Prince Salman himself, Mohammed bin Salman, who said Jared Kushner gave him the intelligence and that he has Jared Kushner in his pocket.
Yeah. What? And talk to us about this document that he apparently had at Bedminster, talking about plans for an attack on Iran.
Yeah. Okay. This is where we get into these funny areas, because I've seen documents like this. I've seen war planning documents. I've seen actual contingency plans, execution orders, things like that. If the president of the United States says, hey, we want to consider doing an attack on Iran, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs brings that document to you, there's a couple of things you need to know. First off, those are highly controlled documents. And this is where I think Kash Patel is going to get into a lot of trouble, because he was the guy who I think was the go-to, who was going to the SCIF, the Classified Information Facility, and signing these documents out and bringing them to the president. And then those documents disappeared, and they didn't get registered into a burn bag, which they must. In theory, they must be returned back to the secure facility. This document was a war plan, and apparently Milley had endorsed it, that if we were going to do it, this is what the chairman of the Joint Chiefs would recommend, but it would be, tens of thousands of men, a full-scale invasion of Iran. And Trump was going to use it to show that Milley was untrustworthy. And they say that Trump keeps documents for blackmail, and he kept this particular one to badmouth General Milley. I don't get it. It's weird. It makes no sense, but he likes to have tactile evidence.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this stuff is going to come out. It's about his petty vindictiveness, like the intelligence on Macron. He obviously didn't like Macron. I'm going to guess, did he give that to Le Pen? It's just as you say, the mind reels at what he's capable of.
Listen, there's nothing about Macron that Macron won't tell you. All right. I mean, even if it comes from the National Security Agency and we're listening to the phone calls between him and his mistress, okay, that will only get him a rise in the points, in Europe. But Trump could have been using that to I really think that he's a blackmailer. And I think that when it all comes out, when it's all said and done, you're going to find out he was trying to Zelensky a lot of people, that he was extorting.
Well, that's the reporting. That's the reporting now. All these Trump administration people are privately rooting that he goes down, because you're going to see who he really is, that they knew, right?
Yeah, well, we all knew, didn't we? So, but that's his way.
Yeah.
It's the Trump way. But
so
I think that a cheap version of, if we can just go back real quick, a cheap version of Goodfellas. And I think he probably secretly watched that movie and always wanted to be, those characters. Yeah. And this was his getting there.
Malcolm, so obviously all the speculation is Mark Meadows cooperating. He obviously has testified. I mean, the fact that I keep saying this, it's still, as much as I marinate in it, that the fact that, we could be talking about sedition charges for January 6th and espionage charges for classified documents, and he could be testifying about both. It, again, makes the mind real. But what do you think? Unless he's taken the fifth, what do you think?
I think Mark Meadows is a full-scale cooperator with the government right now. Mm-hmm. It's pretty clear. Everything that I've read shows that he flipped. And if he's flipped, well, that's going to make things difficult. You're talking about the chief of staff of the president of the United States. Most importantly, I would like to know what were on the documents that he burned in his office, which is a violation of every Federal Protection Act. It's a violation of the law on every level. He could go to prison alone on those charges. So let's find out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Speaking of investigations, so this whole James Comer, I don't even know where to start with this thing. So what's her name? Representative Congressman Luna, which is short for lunatic. Yes. This week, can we have 14? This is them talking about this nothing burger.
I simply just put out a fact that came out of a briefing and oversight. So we know that Comer's been obviously working to get a certain document from the FBI that proves that Biden was receiving money from a foreign national, $5 million, when he was a vice president. So it's public corruption. And the FBI not only did not want to hand over this document, it's not classified, but they also said that if the informant, who has been with the FBI for over 10 years, very credible sourcing, has been paid over six figures, this is not just some random schmuck.
So, okay, this is the Rudy Giuliani Burisma nonsense that even Bill Barr investigated and said there is nothing there. This is the kind of there they're trying to make there, right?
Yeah. All right, listen. Okay. For those of you who are not watching on Free Speech TV, my sunglasses are up, right?
Yes.
Now, sunglasses down. You want to go to the direction of public corruption? Okay. Let's play this game. Okay? You want to bring in some floozy FBI officer? Release the document. Because apparently the document belongs to a classified human source. Go ahead. Let's have the discussion of people talking about public corruption in the Trump administration.
Yeah. Wait, we got to play one more, Representative Luna. Here we go.
100%. The FBI was basically stating that this is one of their most trusted informants dating back to the Obama era, but ultimately that they were in fear that this individual would be killed if they were unmasked.
Hang on a second. Slow down. Because this is like now in a mob movie.
Yes, and
Right.
I mean, between that and to the other point of the FBI is infiltrated, you have a spy by the name of One Eye. I mean, I say it and I feel like I'm in a James Bond movie, but unfortunately it's true, who has been leaking information to their knowledge to Hunter Biden in regards to the ongoing investigation into him. So we can't even trust the FBI.
Let's connect all this.
Are you familiar with the spy named One Eye?
I am not the spy named One Eye. Hold on, guys. I have to move to a more quiet location for
Oh,
this.
all right.
Uh-oh.
Wow, this is like a West Wing walk and talk.
Yeah,
this
this
is
is cool.
fantastic. Hi.
This is the walk and talk. I can confirm 100% that I am not the source.
But
Okay.
isn't this a typical, like, oh, well, yeah, they're afraid he might be killed because, clearly that's a way of, saying there's obviously a huge scandal here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a scandal Bill Barr said was no scandal.
Right.
I mean, anyway, go ahead.
And the funny thing is that the first thing that they want to do whenever they meet any opposition is they bring out the craziest conspiracy theory that you could ever find.
Right.
And it always involves, movie conspiracies where people are going to be killed or they're going to be disappeared
Right.
and all these things. And these nuts believe it.
Yeah.
They all buy into this. Listen, here's what that source said that they're supposedly backing up. The source heard from another source. So if I have a credible officer and he hears something and he knows it's nuts, that doesn't mean that he actually believes it himself. He just has to answer the question. I say, let's go. Let's do the full public corruption discussion.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go all the way back to Jared Kushner, Ivanka, Jr., everybody else.
Yeah. Here's my favorite part of this story. Comer said Monday he'll begin the process of holding FBI Director Christopher Wray in contempt of Congress, despite viewing and being briefed by Bureau officials on the subpoenaed document that alleges Biden's involvement in the scheme. So he's already seen
Right.
the document he's demanding and going to hold Wray in contempt for.
Wait.
Yeah.
Jamie Raskin has been brilliant about this.
Yeah.
He really has. If you haven't seen the video of him responding to this, it's absolutely amazing that these people have made a conspiracy up in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
And they are
Yeah.
trying to get documentation to back up that conspiracy. And with that, they are willing to say anything, do anything. And every time they open their mouth, it's breaking news.
Yeah.
Something new. And you're like, no, that's not breaking news. You've known that for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Well, give me 10. This is
All right.
Comer and Raskin. Hang on.
All I know is there's an ongoing investigation. They confirmed there's an ongoing investigation using this information. I assume that ongoing investigation is in Delaware. I don't know that,
Oh.
but I assume that.
Is it part of an ongoing investigation?
Comer said that it was part of an ongoing investigation, and that's what he learned.
Okay, but then I must have missed that because I've not heard that this is part of any ongoing investigation.
I mean,
They
just fact checked in real time. I mean, Chuck Grassley said, what did he say exactly, Travis? We don't really care if the information about Biden is accurate. I mean, they say it out loud.
They love the sentence ongoing investigation. When Zelensky was being extorted, he wanted to be able to say there was an ongoing prosecutorial investigation happening in Ukraine for Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. They just want that sentence, ongoing investigation.
Trump's done it twice about Ukraine. Just say there's an investigation, and he did it about January 6th. Just say there was fraud. My Congress people will take care of the rest, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, my dogs have an ongoing investigation as to when the Scooby snacks are supposed to come out of the cabinet. But it is a real ongoing investigation. And it's as real as me saying it's real.
Yeah, exactly. Malcolm, brilliant stuff, and a walk and talk from the West Wing, and sunglasses. It's just all too much. We love you. Black Man Spy. Get it. Yeah, and we've linked to his Substack, which is fantastic. We love you, Malcolm Nance. Mwah.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Right. 50 minutes after the hour.